Sportsplex at Matthews saw 3 points against a Canadian side in Week 1. Will it see 3 points against a Canadian side in Week 2 as the Charlotte Independents play host to Toronto FC2 in Week number 2 of the United Soccer League? Charlotte coming off of that convincing 4-1 win against Ottawa, and Toronto FC2 dropping all 3 points on the road to New York Red Bulls 2. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tyler Terrens along with Matt Stubbington. And Matt, Charlotte coming off of a very, very convincing 3 points against Ottawa a week ago, and their key to victory tonight is really to just remain aggressive.
Certainly, if they can stay aggressive offensively, as they were in Week 1, I think they'll be successful tonight. Toronto FC2 did play very well in Week 1, but they got a little bit defensive, got into their defensive third a little bit too much and couldn't break out in the second half. So if the Independents can stay on the front foot offensively, then I think the Independents will help be successful tonight.
The Charlotte Independents got a number of large contributions from their attacking front, but none was more impressive than Cordell Cato, who was making his Charlotte Independents debut. He ended up finishing with a brace, and it started off with this beautiful goal off the good feed from Donnie Smith on the corner.
Oh, such a tricky play. You'll see just the little deft flick of the ankle to put this one in the back of the net. It's his second goal that was really special. He started the move, played the ball forwards to Joel Johnson, then gets aggressively into the box, takes composure, slips it past the goalkeeper. Beautifully done. Fantastic goal for the Independents.
Cordell Cato, the former San Jose Earthquake man, making his presence felt at Matthews in Week 1, and will be looking to replicate a similar performance. And then on the other side for Laurent Gaillot, a man who's making really waves in the United Soccer League. He played 67 minutes last week, a standout at the University of Louisville. Tim Kubel.
A fantastic player, very aggressive, loves to go forwards from his outside back position, and has the ability to drop his shoulder and use his left foot for shooting, but can use both feet for serving the ball as well. Fantastic addition to this team.
Scored more than 20 goals as an outside back for the Cardinals in his career at Louisville, as he will be looking to get forward for Toronto FC2 against a very, very strong Charlotte Independents side. It's Charlotte and Toronto FC2 when we come back.
What so proudly we hailed.
Fans, your attention please. The Charlotte Independents and USL request that you refrain from tossing any objects onto the field. Please use the proper concourses and refrain from climbing over seats and barriers. Any spectator entering the field or interrupting play in any manner shall be ejected and subject to arrest. Please be aware of air balls on your side of the stage, and please remember, smoking is not permitted. The Independents and USL thank you for your cooperation.
Welcome back to the Sportsplex at Matthews, as the Charlotte Independents are looking to make it 2 wins in a row to start the season. Toronto FC2 looking for their first win of the season. Tyler Terrens along with Matt Stubbington. Glad to have you with us, folks, as we should have a very, very interesting match on our hands here in Matthews, North Carolina. We'll start with Laurent Gaillot and Toronto FC2. And Matt, not too many changes from a week ago. We have a change all the way at the back as far as the goalkeeper is concerned, but in terms of the middle of the park as well as up front, it remains consistent with week 1.
A lot of consistency. Highlight Matthew Soberly on the left-hand side there. He scored the goal for TFC2 last week. A fine individual effort getting into the box, slipping it past the goalkeeper with his right foot. And then Charlotte Independence. It's going to be interesting to see how they line up. We've got some additions coming back with Alex Martinez on the right. He was suspended for last week's game. He is a huge part of the midfield for the Charlotte Independence.
Cordell Cato will be right underneath Caleb Calvert. Cato had the brace in week 1 against Ottawa. Jorge Herrera, Benjamin Button himself out wide, and then obviously Calvert, who is actually the first ever homegrown signing for Chivas, will be all the way up top for Mike Jeffries, who is in his 4th season and has really done it all as far as a player. Looking to make some waves as a coach now here in the United Soccer League. He's had 2 5th-place finishes in the last 2 years, falling to the Rochester Rhinos in both of those seasons in 16 and 17 at Capelli Sports Stadium. But the good news for Mike Jeffries this year, Matt, is that there's no possible way that their season will end in Rochester, as the Rhinos are taking a hiatus in 2018. And for Toronto FC2, this is a club who hasn't won more than 6 games in their franchise history, but they have a lot of talent, and obviously their first team has done incredibly well over the past couple of years. They won the treble last year in Toronto FC2 with the MLS, and they're making a lot of waves in the CONCACAF Champions League, and it's just a matter of time before these young players really start to find their place in the United Soccer League and start to turn it into more tangible results.
Absolutely. The squad for Toronto FC is too strong for them not to parlay that strength into results at the TFC2 level, the USL level, I should say. So it's going to be interesting to see how they progress. It's going to be consistency in the lineup that will be big for TFC2, though, if they can maintain the same players week in, week out, so that there can be some familiarity between the players at the USL level. I think that would be of benefit to TFC2. But of course, you have those players coming down from the first team that need additional time. You have players from TFC2 stepping up into the first team that really challenges Laurent Guyot and his coaching staff, the consistency at this level.
Laurent Guyot in his first season with Toronto FC2, taking over for Jason Bent as we are officially underway from the Sportsplex at Matthews, and already Cordell Cato off to a quick start, out wide for Johnson. Here's Cato. Back for Jan Ecker getting the start after coming on as a substitute in week 1. Actually replaced Greg Jordan, who came off with a gushing lip and actually needed around 15 stitches, Mike Jeffries was telling us, both on his upper lip and his lower lip. If we get a tight shot of him at some point tonight, you'll be able to see it pretty clearly. He certainly took a knock, came out in around the 15th, 20th minute. Jan Ecker came on and performed extremely well and was able to impact the game. And Mike Jeffries said that while it was a little bit sloppy week 1 and that it looked like week 1 in the USL for the Charlotte Independence, they were able to get it done and put 4 goals past a stingy Ottawa side who really bolstered their lineup with a lot of solid defensive and offensive additions. And it was a good start for the Charlotte side.
A couple of fortuitous bounces to put the ball in the back of the net. Herrera, his second goal was actually given as an own goal in the end because it careened off of 2 defenders in the Ottawa back line. But again, you make your own luck and get in the right positions.
Calvert sent the other way, and Patterson Sewell off of his line in a hurry. Jan Ecker picking up the pieces in the middle of the park. He's looking for Jorge Herrera. Alex Martinez getting the start for Mike Jeffries tonight. He was suspended for the first game of the season after receiving a red card in the Eastern Conference quarterfinals against the Rochester Rhinos. That game, of course, went into extra time. Rhinos coming away victorious after a Stefan DeFregger deflection goal. And then Rochester falling to the eventual USL Cup champions in the next round, Louisville City. And obviously good to have Alex Martinez back into the lineup. He was such a focal point for this team last year, along with his brother Enzo Martinez, who's now with the Colorado Rapids. Charlotte Independence and the Rapids have such a great partnership. And it'll be interesting to see how Alex Martinez maybe will step up and fill the void, if you will, for Enzo Martinez, his brother, who produced so many goals last year and was in the Golden Boot race basically the entire 2017 season.
It will be interesting to see how Alex performs without Enzo in the lineup. Enzo is doing well at the MLS level. He's got some minutes for the Rapids.
Toronto FC2 with their first real move of the night. Comes out wide, Joel Johnson out to defend. Alec Johnson into the area and then cleared away by Accra. Poorly handled by TFC2. Mike Jeffries' team's always so possession-oriented, but they do look very good on the counterattack, and that's how Cordell Cato got his second goal on the feed from Joel Johnson, who's making a nice overlapping run. Cato into the area. Cut out by the TFC2 back line. Johnson again. In for Herrera, but a little bit too hot to handle.
You see how the overlapping run of Joel Johnson on the right flank means that the outside back of Bjornthon just has to respect the pace, drifts out wide, and that allows Cato to just drop his left shoulder, come inside, didn't find the connection on the pass, but it's because of the speed of Johnson and the aggressiveness of Johnson going forwards on the right flank that it means that left fullback just has to come out defensively, and that opens up the space more in the middle of the park.
That's really Joel Johnson's trade, isn't it? Getting forward. He's a great 1v1 defender, but really what propelled him into outside back glory last year and being a finalist for Defensive Player of the Year was his ability to get forward and his ability to find players in the box. He has great delivery when he finds it out wide, and it's just a terrific piece for Mike Jeffries and for this possession-based oriented team to be able to come out wide and use his abilities.
He was pretty close to leading the team in minutes as well from his outside back position, and considering how much ground he covers during the game, it speaks a lot about his fitness level. Speaking to Coach Jeffries last year, he was very high on Joel Johnson's fitness and his ability just to maintain the consistent performance throughout the match.
Cato trying to get around Bjornathan. Clever player, Cordell Cato. Great addition for Mike Jeffries as well. Joel Johnson will have some mentoring to do this season as well. Trying to coach up the youngster Sam Vines, just 18 years of age, signing a homegrown contract with the Colorado Rapids about a month and a half ago. And sent down by Alan Hudson and the Rapids staff to the Charlotte Independents and the great partnership that they continue to have. Here is Vines. Jorge Herrera. Gonna whip in delivery, it takes a deflection, and it will be the first corner of the night in favor of the Independents.
Like what I'm seeing from Charlotte, they're getting out wide, both flanks. So important to get width in the game.
This corner kick brought to you by Chick-fil-A, and one of the things that Mike Jeffries mentioned about Sam Vines is that obviously he has some work to do defensively. Just 18 years of age and growing into his body, but going forward, very, very aggressive. Herrera sends it into the box. Romeo gets it away, but only as far as Vines. And the pass from Martinez a little bit behind Jorge Herrera. Toronto FC2 coming off of that devastating loss to New York Red Bulls 2. And Matt, you and I talked about it really ad nauseum this week, and how much they probably should have gotten 3 points out of that game. They were up 1-0 after that goal from Serbal, and then they had an opportunity on a clear 1v1 breakaway as well as a penalty kick to put the game away, and they just were not able to finish either of those chances. Spencer missing the penalty, and then Tenari finishing off a brace in the second half.
Yeah, the penalty kick was really a backbreaker for Toronto FC2. The confidence went a little bit at that time. They still had some opportunities as the game wound down, but you could just see them just getting back further and further defensively, and that invites the pressure on, and in the end it was the Red Bulls 2 team that were able to make that pressure pay.
Bjornathan, a little bit of work to do. It's back for Boskovic. Johnson switching the point of attack and doing that pretty nicely. Through a cutout by Donnie Smith. And it'll be a handball in favor of Toronto FC2.
It was well read by Smith, getting in the passing lane and deflecting that ball back out.
Donnie Donnie Smith not playing in his natural position. He's more of an outside back by trade, but with injuries and late signings for Mike Jeffries, he told us a number of times that guys are going to be playing out of position, but he mentioned that Donnie Smith performed particularly well against Ottawa, and even though he hasn't seen a ton of time in that central defender role, it's nice to have a guy like Bilal Duckett who's so experienced and so sound at that position to be able to play next to you and sort of guide you through.
You talked about Joel Johnson being a mentor. Duckett, it certainly is on that back line. So composed on the ball, good communicator as well. This Independence lineup is so fluid. You see where Alex Martinez was receiving the ball. Started the match more as an outside left midfielder. It's drifting inside, makes it very difficult for the opposition to pick up the player.
Well, you and I were trying to figure out the tactical, and then we just ended up looking at each other and said it's going to change throughout the course of the game because their movement is so dynamic, and that's something that Mike Jeffries preaches on a pretty consistent basis. Just because it's your position doesn't necessarily mean you have to be glued there throughout the course of 90 minutes.
That's one of the benefits of playing the 4-2-3-1. Those front four can rotate pretty easily. At times last week, I thought that the Independents were playing a 4-4-2 because Herrera was dropping into that space in front of the back line of the opposition. Looked like he was more in partnership up top with Calvert.
That'll be a foul against Bilal Duckett. Ben Spencer able to get position and draw the foul. Spencer, a 22-year-old from Albuquerque, New Mexico. He's part of the Real Salt Lake and Chivas Youth Academies in his earlier playing days.
Spencer just backing up into Kalungi. Kalungi, the arms over the shoulder, too high defensively. Think about Kalungi, he just signed this week. Tyler just corrected me, that was Bilal Duckett.
Kalungi will be, he'll be there.
He's on the bench this evening.
Yep. I have to. I mean, it was Duckett and Kalungi all last season, so I mean, it's a.
Well, you're talking about late signings, and my mind was going to Kalungi and thinking, wanted to work him into the conversation somehow. I just didn't want to do it through making a mistake on the name. So.
Alex Martinez can't get a hold of it.
One thing, Kalungi won't thank me for saying that he just fouled Spencer. He's not even on the pitch.
Yeah, but Bilal Duckett will thank you. He wasn't charged with the foul in your book. Good step from Duckett. Now we can start to see Alex Martinez float into a bit more advanced role. Greg Jordan on top of it now. Calvert coming extremely deep to receive that ball. Maybe that was something that was lacking with this Charlotte side last year, was a true number 9 to be able to hold that play. Jorge Herrera, obviously, you know, in his late 30s at this point, doesn't have a ton of legwork in him anymore, even though he is so technical in the area. But Calvert, just 21 years of age, is so good at being able to hold up play and connect the dots in the attacking third. And here's Cordell Cato. Going for goal, not a bad idea, but sailing over the bar.
Not much going on around him, so why not have a crack? You're right with Herrera and Enzo Martinez. They certainly weren't the true number 9, the target forward up top. Both players like to come back deep and try and create off the dribble individually. Certainly did that very well. Both of them with double-digit goals last year, but certainly I think Herrera just got a little bit leggy towards the end of the season with a lot of pressure on him, with Enzo Martinez in and out of the lineup a little bit towards the latter part of the season. And so I think that was a little bit of pressure on the Independents because they struggled to find their goals down the stretch, and their performances to close out the season weren't up to the standard that we expect from the Independents.
Well, they lost their last 5 games from September 20th to October 14th. And of course, they had that magnificent run in the middle of the season from June 10th till August 12th, where they were unbeaten 9-4-0. 6 wins in a row during that span, including wins over Louisville City FC and New York Red Bulls 2, who eventually duked it out in the Eastern Conference Championship for right in the USL Cup final. And New York Red Bulls 2 was a couple penalty kicks away from making it a straight rematch of 2016 with Swope Park Rangers. But you mentioned it, I mean, Jorge Herrera sort of disappeared towards the end of the season. It was great to see him get that first goal in week 1 from the penalty spot, because he hadn't scored since July 29th. I mean, you talk about Legia, he just sort of disappeared. But Mike Jeffries said that he had opportunities. It wasn't like they weren't finding him in fortuitous areas. It was just a matter of Jorge maybe getting in his own head. But great to see him on the score sheet and getting a goal last week, and you could see how much it meant to him after spending so much time not on the score sheet, as Toronto FC 2, with a decent looking move, takes a deflection and then falling to the feet of Andrew Dykstra.
Herrera is such an important part of the Independents, just from the time that he's spent here at the club, the leadership qualities that he has, and he's vital to Charlotte Independent's success. You don't have that other partnership up top. They put a lot of pressure on him, and in doing that, you get a little bit in your own head, as you said, and end up making some mistakes in the box when you think you should have scored goals, and it just perpetuates itself. If you miss chances that you think you should have taken, you get more and more in your head. But
Serbal was trying to force his way through, sent the other way for Caleb Calvert. It's a 1-on-3 at the moment, waiting for some support to arrive. Comes in the form of Herrera. Cato making the overlapping run, well done by Calvert. Here is Cato into the box, and handled easily by TFC2.
it was a clever ball played forwards by Herrera. It was out wide. Calvert had made himself available as the target, went out wide, and because he had the width from the pass, he was able to take his time and allow the support to come to him. If the ball had been played more in the middle of the park, Calvert would have been under more pressure and would have had to have hurried things up. As it was, there was some good, clean possession for the Independents going forwards on the counter.
It was a good idea between Calvert and Alex Martinez, but the latter half of that give and go didn't go. And it falls for Patterson Sewell. Great play from Donnie Smith. TFC2 looking for a foul, not going to get one from head referee Javier Santos. Ekra, knee touch from Herrera. Now Calvert fighting for it. Alec Johnson trying to come away, and Greg Jordan goes to ground. Probably would have been a bookable offense if it wasn't so early in the match and if it wasn't his first foul, but he'll be on yellow card watch.
Well, talking to there from the referee, Mr. Santos. Certainly a clumsy challenge there. Alec Johnson going on the run. You see that swelling in the upper lip there from Jordan. Coach Jeffries was describing the stitches and the injury. It kind of grossed me out. So 7 stitches on the inside, 8 on the outside, something like that.
Welcome to Charlotte.
That was a huge collision in the first half of last week's game.
Charlotte on the move here. Herrera into the area. Jorge Herrera sneaks it by Patterson Sewell. Goal number 2 on the season for Herrera, and Charlotte take a 1-0 lead over Toronto FC 2.
Well, he struggled to score the latter part of last season, but he's starting this season off fantastically well. The back line of TFC2 just dropped off. Not putting any pressure on, little step, dropped the right shoulder, lovely finish, wrong footing the goalkeeper. Actually went underneath the goalkeeper, Patterson Sewell. Not sure what was going on there. You can see by his reaction, he feels he should have done better. It was a nice finish though from Herrera with the right foot.
Well, it has to drive Laurent Guyot absolutely mad on the touchline. I mean, it was suspect defending from Rocco Romeo, to say the least, and then Patterson Sewell, like you said, wasn't exactly sure what he was expecting. I mean, a shot that didn't really have a ton of pace behind it should never beat you on the near post, but credit to Herrera, who, saw Rocco Romeo retreating, and it was just a simple dip of the shoulder.
Absolutely. Romeo just kept backing off, and I think the goalkeeper was probably anticipating some more power on the shot. But the wily Herrera just realized that the goalkeeper was leaning and quite cleverly put it into the near post area.
Sam Vines, some stout defending over on the far side. Looked like it was Daniels who may or may not have taken a shot to the face, and then it prompted Alex Martinez to share a few words with Daniels as to his thoughts on possible simulation. But a great start for Charlotte at home here. Going to take down 2 Canadian opponents in 2 weeks. Teams that they struggled with at times last season. Dropped 3 points to Ottawa and TFC2 in 2017. Bjornathan unable to keep it in play. He was another good addition for Loncayo. Try to bolster this back line. He had a very good season with Portland Timbers too in 2017. Very strong at the outside back position, this TFC2 team between Kubel and Bjornathan, but center backs may have some question marks, especially after the glimpse of defending we just got from Rocco Romeo. Much better from the Canadian side here. Comes out for Daniels. Overlapping run coming from Kubel. Joel Johnson with Malik Johnson nipping at his heels. Spencer back out, shot from distance. Just spraying wide. We've seen a couple of decent movements from TFC2 in the opening 21 minutes or so here at the Sportsplex at Matthews. Tyler Terrans along with Matt Stubbington, Jorge Herrera got things started just a few minutes ago in the 18th minute.
A long distance effort. I think it was Kubel pulled the trigger on the shot. Certainly has the ability to hit it from that distance. Movement is good, I think, for TFC2, but it's all on the periphery of the attacking third. They have to find some way to get deeper into their opponent's box, create some chances beyond the ball.
Here's Bjornathan creating some space of his own. It's a good ball in, but nobody making that holding run for TFC2 in the middle of the box. And Charlotte trying to play out of trouble. Alex Martinez fouled from behind. But between the likes of Bjornathan and Kubel out wide, as Spencer getting a yellow card. It's about the second or third time tonight we've seen him get in some extracurricular activity. It was with Greg Jordan about 5 minutes ago, and Javier Santos having enough of Spencer's antics.
There's no need for that. Kicking the ball away, wasting some time. Daniels on the initial foul. No love lost there between Alex Martinez and Ben Spencer.
Well, it's good to see that without his brother on the field, Alex hasn't lost any of his fire. Never know what you were going to get with the Martinez brothers in 2017.
They were entertaining in so many ways. Not all of them were good ways sometimes, but so dangerous as a combination, so difficult to defend. Scored some beautiful goals.
Enzo ended up finishing with 18 in 2017. Alex, not nearly as much of a production from the goal scoring standpoint. Johnson trying to send it across. It takes a deflection off of Joel Johnson. And the first corner of the evening coming up for TFC2.
Malik Johnson with a nice touch to collect the ball. Put Cato under pressure, then Joel coming across very nicely in the help defense. Cato just held things up long enough for Joel to come over and in support.
All corner kicks brought to you by Chick-fil-A. This one bent in, not a bad ball, and Jan Ekra able to get ahead to it, only as far as Bjornathan. Him and Uccello, not necessarily on the same page.
Fans, have you got what it takes to beat the experts on USLsoccer.com? You show off your knowledge of the league by picking the right results of USL Soccer.
Alex Martinez.
On Beat the Experts.
Behind Jorge Herrera, could spark a counterattack on the other end for TFC2, if not for a poor ball the other way. It'll come back for Andrew Dykstra, who is right now filling in for Brandon Miller, who's not 100% after breaking his thumb during the preseason, but is knocking on the door of being able to take full speed shots during practice, Mike Jeffries was telling us earlier in the week. Former Golden Glove winner in the United Soccer League. Trying to replace Cody Mizell, who headed over to the Tampa Bay Rowdies in the offseason. And a bit overzealous there from Donnie Smith. Something we saw last year from Charlotte, Matt, was how high the outside backs will pinch up when they're trying to defend. This Mike Jeffries' team loves to have the ball at their feet. When they don't have it, they are hunting after that ball like their lives depend on it. And they do such a good job of just putting pressure on the opponent and making them make quick decisions, but they catch 22 of it all as if it's one or two quick passes going the other way, and the center backs are exposed, and it happened a number of times last year, especially during the end of the season when they lost their last 5 straight.
You have to depend on your center backs to be strong enough to allow both of your outside players to go forwards as aggressively as the independents do. It's good though, because defensively, when the independents do lose the ball, those outside backs will try and win it back up the pitch as you described, because a lot of times if you're conservative as an outside back going forwards and the ball is turned over, you're immediately retreating back to your position, and that gives your opposition some space to utilize because you vacated that area of the pitch. So I think certainly Joel Johnson does it so well of reading the play and when he can go, when he can stay, when he has to get back defensively. Of course, it helps when you're probably one of the fastest players in the league. But there's Joel Johnson again stepping in. Cato was a little bit too lax on his defensive effort, just reaching for the ball, and knowing that you got one of the best right backs in the league behind you.
A long-range effort from Uccello. That's been Toronto FC2's really only source of at least trying to test Andrew Dykstra. Shots from distance. And credit to Charlotte Independents, who are pinching the space and making life difficult for these TFC2 attackers.
When they have got round the back, TFC2 just haven't got the players in the box to utilize as a target. Down his left flank, Malik Johnson's had a couple of crosses going in, but there's just not been any red shirts for him to hit.
Comes in from Cato. Jordan going out wide for the teenager Sam Vines. Alex Martinez. One too many touches. Good work from Jan Ekra. Falls for Herrera. Herrera going over for Cato. Cordell Cato, huge save from Patterson Sewell. Oh, it definitely should have been two. Charlotte still looking for more. And it will be a corner, but a massive save from Caleb Patterson Sewell to keep it a one-goal game.
Stepped up into the angle so well did the keeper on this occasion. The pass from Herrera was just behind Cato. He had to wait for the ball just a little bit. That allowed the goalkeeper to come out and close the angle. But he stayed big and strong, making the save.
The 30-year-old from Hendersonville, Tennessee, with a save that could prove to be vital. Charlotte looking to make amends from the corner. And Herrera sends it over everybody. And a deep throw-in coming up for Toronto FC 2 in their own defensive third. That's where we've seen Charlotte at their best, not only in the first half hour of this game, but against Ottawa as well. As much as they like to have the ball at their feet, they're so dangerous when they're on the counterattack because the likes of Herrera, Cato, Caleb Calvert just love running at defenders 1v1.
And they make such good decisions as to when they go on that counter as well. You have those aggressive players, as you described, wanting to go 1v1. Fantastic to see.
Spencer, back for Johnson. Bent into the box. Donnie Smith with the header. Joel Johnson nodding it out of any further danger.
I mean, you and I have the discussion about the possession statistic frequently about, okay, I mean, Charlotte Independence tonight, we saw the stat that they have 60% of the possession. You can do that all day long in your own half, but what makes the Independents so good is that they're able to do that in their opposition's half as well, and that's what makes them so dangerous as a team.
Well, take it a step further. You know, they're not always consistently breaking teams down with their crisp passing. You know, they're making mistakes. They give the ball away sometimes, but because they have so many numbers in their opposition's defensive third, it makes it easy for them to go win the ball back, and then it's almost a counter attack when they win it back.
It absolutely is. It takes commitment from the team, not only in the game, because you have to play in that way, but you also have to have the commitment in practice to get your fitness level up to where it needs to be so you can perform in such an aggressive manner throughout the full 90 minutes.
Fan Select is the official soccer ball of the USL. For latest Select products and special offers, please visit selectsportamerica.com. Receive free shipping on orders over $50. And again, just an enormous amount of miscommunication for the Canadian side.
Malik Johnson had checked back to receive the ball, then plays it into the area that he just vacated, and Bjorntham just hadn't read the overlap opportunity in order to get forwards.
Great skill from Jan Ekra. Still with TFC2. Comes in for Spencer. Sort of reversed roles for these two teams from the Toronto FC 2 standpoint, with Laurent Guyot's side going up 1-0 a week ago and then failing to get the second goal, and then having New York Red Bulls 2 scoring 2 and taking all 3 points. Charlotte need to be careful and take advantage of opportunities to get that insurance goal, because as their opponents in red know all too well, they can come back and really hurt you at the end of the game.
This level, these teams are too good if you don't take the opportunities that are presented to you. And your team you're playing against, you give them one opportunity and they're right back in the match.
Sam Vines trying to get the one-touch service across. Will end up winning a corner. Again, good work from Jan Ekra, getting the start tonight. And of course, corner kicks brought to you by Chick-fil-A. Ekra getting the start instead of Mwape, who's available off the bench. Jorge Herrera on top of the corner, and our lone goal scorer in the evening so far. Vines into the area. It's a great ball, and the flick-on header wasn't too far off. And it was a cute little design set piece from Charlotte.
Well executed there. Herrera directing traffic.
We keep harping on Joel Johnson and his abilities in the outside back position, but he's just so aware, so composed, always checking over his shoulder. And in my book, he's at least in the top 2 or 3 outside backs in the United Soccer League. Any that come to your mind around the league?
Well, I mean, really, for me, he's the tops. There are some others that are out there, but early part of the season, nobody really springing to mind at this moment.
Maybe Louisville City FC fans who were unable to enjoy the festivities at Slugger Field today against North Carolina FC due to poor pitch conditions. Watching the match would say that Oscar Jimenez might be on that short list, and I would have to agree with these hypothetical claims from Louisville City FC. He did such a great job for James O'Connor and obviously winning the USL Cup championship. But Mike Jeffries, Joel Johnson, certainly up there with the best of them.
You saw that just moments ago. Spencer was right on the back of Joel Johnson, was in a good position defensively, forced the errant touch from Johnson. So Johnson just had the awareness and the athleticism just to give him that separation that he needed from the TFC2 forward. And you can also read the body language of Spencer of, you know, what am I going to do? I mean, I can't keep up with the guy. And it's just frustration as TFC2 then just drop back into their defensive shape.
Sam Vines, the overlapping run. Service into the box. Not his best. Some other scores from around the league. Nashville and Pittsburgh right now. Stalemate at 0-0 in the 76th minute. Home opener for Nashville. Atlanta United 2 and New York Red Bulls 2 tied 1-1 in the 36th. Tampa Bay Rowdies and Bethlehem Steel kicked off a few minutes ago. And also the big one coming up tonight. The battle for Nevada. And what has been named the Silver State Cup between Las Vegas and Reno.
That will definitely be an entertaining game. Las Vegas, they play a style that is so difficult to play against.
Here's Jorge Herrera. Encouraging Cordell Cato forward. Cato matched up with Bjornathan. Malik Johnson coming back for support. Joel Johnson. Greg Jordan in some space. And just not the right pass. Or it looked like might have taken a deflection, and indeed it did.
A good defensive shape there from TFC2, getting back behind the ball very quickly there as a unit, taking away the passing opportunities for the Independents into the box.
Johnson, first time delivery, finding Herrera. Nice little move from the Colombian, but wasn't able to get it over to Alex Martinez. Charlotte still hunting after the ball. Good work from Daniels. Kubel able to keep it in play. Good work from Kubel to just keep that play alive and then be able to find his number 9's feet. Bjornathan. Calvert was trying to hold things up. Dispossessed. Johnson over the top. Good fall here. Takes a deflection. Dykstra with a huge save. Amongst a lot of traffic. Back into the box in the header. Well wide. And Andrew Dykstra is livid with his defenses. It was way too easy for Toronto FC2. They had a couple fortuitous bounces. And Charlotte lucky to escape there unscathed.
Looked like he might have deflected. The goalkeeper adjusted to it on his heels. Pure reaction on the save. Really well done there by Dykstra. Very poor defending though from the Independents. At the other end there was some poor defending from TFC2. They were flat-footed. And it seemed to be contagious as it spread through the Independent squad at the other end of the pitch.
Toronto FC2 playing quickly. Bjornathan was wide open on this near side on the bottom of your screen. Big ball sent the other way. It's for Herrera. Calvert and Cato awaiting in the box. Over for Cato. It was an interesting back heel. Maybe the pass came in a bit too hot from Jorge Herrera, but didn't expect to see that from Cato.
I love the reaction from Herrera. I'm not sure he could believe what happened either. He was surprised that one went out by the corner flag and not in on frame. Bjornström had gone forwards on the attack. Bjornström had gone forward on the attack, and then Malik Johnson was trying to get back defensively in his stead, and neither player were on terms at all. Ended up being a 3v2 for the Independents. They weren't able to make it pay. And Bjornström just looks like he's struggling a little bit at the moment. He's very slow to get back defensively on that previous attack for the Independents.
Fans hear exclusive stories directly from the USL's players in USLsoccer.com's From the Pitch, with written and video content that provides unfiltered access and a first-person look into the professional game and players' everyday lives. And one of the more recent ones was focusing on Louisville City FC's Speedy Williams and his fantastic story into professional football. Coming from Jamaica, winning USL Cup championship with New York Red Bulls 2 in 2016, and then Louisville City in 2017. And I encourage all fans of USL and just fans of great stories to go on and take a look at how some of these players have gotten to this level, obstacles that they've had to overcome. Fascinating stuff, and a great job from our friends at the United Soccer League, who just are continually pumping out juicy, juicy content to be able to feast on while we wait for these games on the weekends. Donnie Smith striding forward. Over for Alex Martinez. A little bit of space to play. Martinez was looking for Jorge Herrera. Back into the box. Calvert! It's 2 for Charlotte. It's Calvert's first of the season. Great play from Alex Martinez to keep it alive. And the Independents have doubled their delight, and they now lead 2-0 over TFC2.
Sometimes you make your own luck. The Independents have been aggressive all game long. Alex Martinez trying to get the ball into Herrera. It deflects back to Martinez. And then he just stands this up to the back post. There's Calvert doing exactly what he's supposed to do. Get in on frame, puts it down into the back of the net. Beautiful header. Great positioning from Calvert there to finish that goal.
Well, a 21-year-old from Wrightwood, California, getting on the score sheet here in 2018. And like you said, Matt, using that big frame, standing at about 6'2", 6'3". Has to make Mike Jeffries extremely happy, seeing the hustle from Alex Martinez, but you know you're going to get that from him, and then Caleb Calvert in the right place at the right time. And those are backbreakers right before the half, aren't they?
Definitely are. Longio changes his talk at halftime a little bit.
Cato. Cato wrapped up and a free kick in favor of Charlotte, maybe looking for a third before the halftime whistle.
It's got to be very frustrating for the coaching staff of TFC2. They haven't really been out of the game, but at the crucial moments, they just haven't stepped up defensively as they needed to. And haven't had that killer instinct that they need in their attacking third.
Herrera. Charlotte just oozing with confidence now. Herrera looking to take on Kubel, who's our player to watch for Toronto FC2. He's had to do a lot more defending than I'm sure he'd like to from that outside back position. Haven't seen him getting forward a ton yet. And now Javier Santos, I guess, changing the call, as it will be the Canadian side's throw-in. And we're getting word right now that there will be no stoppage time here in the first half. Good step forward from Jan Ekra. He'll have a go from distance, but yanking it wide.
Player with confidence there, lovely step in. Had some aggressive movement into the attacking third. No real way to stop the ball, find a pass, so why not have a crack? Just dragged his foot over the top of it.
And that's going to do it for the first half here from Matthews, North Carolina. The Charlotte Independents getting goals from Jorge Herrera, his second of the season, and Caleb Calvert getting his first of the season off a delicious feed from Alex Martinez. Charlotte with a 2-0 lead over the Canadian side. Toronto FC2 with plenty of work to do and plenty to talk about at halftime. We will as well, as we will return in just a few moments. Halftime here at Matthews.
That ball go underneath the goalkeeper.
Ladies and gentlemen, for your halftime enjoyment, please make some noise and welcome the players from Carolina Rapids.
Is that Sam Vines playing? Back here at the Sportsplex at Matthews, halftime between Toronto FC2 and the Charlotte Independence. Jorge Herrera and Caleb Calvert with the tallies for Mike Jeffrey's side. And for Laurent Guyot and the Canadian team, they have a lot to talk about at halftime as Charlotte really dominated all facets of the first 45 minutes. Tyler Terrans along with Matt Stubbington. We'll take a look at the stats from the first half, Matt. And possession dominated by Charlotte, shots dominated by Charlotte, the game dominated by Charlotte.
Absolutely, and those shots, even though TFC2 had 4 shots, they were from distance. Only one was inside the box. So it's really a shame for TFC2 that they haven't really put their best foot forwards.
And now we'll take a look at some of the best moments from the first half, and I have a feeling it's going to be a Charlotte-dominated highlight package. And right from the get-go, you could just tell Charlotte much more active, much more lively, not only the offensive side of the ball, but the defensive, winning the ball back in dangerous areas.
Absolutely, a lot more aggressive defensively, and as Cato from a long-distance shot, not his best effort in the first half, but it comes from good aggressive play from Greg Jordan, winning the ball back in the middle area of the park for the Independents. And that really was the story of the first 45 minutes. Defensively, it was the Independents that were aggressive going forwards, winning the ball, winning possession, and putting the TFC2 team under all kinds of pressure. And it was that pressure that was allowed to be paid off there. Romero, not good defending, just backing off. Jorge Herrera just dropping his right shoulder and placing it into the back of the net with his right foot. The goalkeeper really should have done better.
Well, you mentioned that Patterson Sewell got wrong-footed, but he literally just fell down and almost dove the other way from where the ball was going. Herrera with his second goal of the season. And the Charlotte Independents would just keep on coming, but Patterson Sewell making a huge save here to keep it a 1-goal game, at least for the time being.
I should have done better on the goal, but he did beautifully there, did the goalkeeper. But again, it was the aggressive defending up the pitch from the Independents that created that opportunity. The pass from Herrera just behind Cato wasn't able to put that one in the back of the net.
And then Toronto FC2 would have a couple of, I wouldn't even call them half chances, quarter chances throughout the course of the game. This is their best one in the first half, and it takes a fortuitous bounce in favor of Toronto FC2, but Dijkstra ends up making a very nice reaction save, and then the second effort well wide, and you can see Dijkstra livid with his back line as it was porous defending, but Dijkstra, when his number was called upon, ended up making a big save.
That's what you're asked to do as the goalkeeper, make the save when you have to. And that was really the only poor defending of the half for the Independents. And then a little bit fortuitous again on the bounce. This one goes to Martinez. He makes no mistake with the second effort, standing it up at the back post beautifully with the cross with the left foot. And there's Calvert heading it down and into the back of the net for his first goal of the season, the second for the Independents tonight.
Calvert opening up his goal-scoring account in 2018. It could not have come in a better time for the Charlotte Independents, who scored right before the break, and that is where we find ourselves at the moment. And we'll take a step aside and take a look at round number 2 of that great interview with USL President Jake Edwards.
Hi, we're being joined today by Jake Edwards, President of the USL. Just getting ready to kick off an exciting 2018 season. Jake, thank you very much for joining us today.
Great, my pleasure.
Looking at some of the players, we've had a number of internationals now that call the USL home. What does that mean to you and the rest of the folks at the league that we're seeing so many of these world-class players now apply their trade here with the USL?
It's important. It's a testament to the growth of the league, the exposure the league's getting around the world now, that players in a number of countries are now seeing the USL regularly, appreciating the quality of what's going on here, and want to make this the league they want to play in, whether that's Didier Drogba, Joe Cole, and players of that caliber and quality who have played at the very highest level. We've had a significant amount of players this season that have played in the Gold Cup, that have played in the World Cup qualifiers, that are playing full senior international, as well as a nice mix of some of the next best players coming out of this country, you know, players on the under-20 national teams. And it's an exciting mix on the field, and I think it just speaks to the commitment and the investment that the owners are making into their clubs, the quality of coaches we now have in our league, and their ability to recruit players from all around the world. And I think it's just the quality of the competition certainly attracting better and better players.
You touched on coaching a little bit with the number of call-ups that we've seen as well from the players here at the USL playing for their national teams. What does that speak to in terms of the quality of coaching that we've seen?
It's great, and it's an area of our league we take seriously, and we spend a lot of time on. We have a full-time department here that just works with our coaches. It is critical that we continue to attract better coaches all the time. We've got coaches now that have coached at the MLS, that have coached in Liga MX, that have coached in some of the top leagues around the world. What that brings is an understanding of what it takes to build a professional football club and how to instill a real football culture. Make no mistake, it's a large reason why we have so many top-class players coming in the league, and it's testament to the quality of coaches. Last year we had 2 coaches go on the new Federation Pro license. Now we've got 9 coaches on the Pro license this year, and more coming next year. So those coaches are doing tremendous work at the clubs, from the first team all the way down to the youth programs in the community.
Interesting stuff from USL President Jake Edwards. As 2 teams from the Eastern Conference in the United Soccer League right now at the half. Charlotte Independence with a 2-0 lead over Laurent Guyot's Toronto FC 2. Jorge Herrera and Caleb Calvert with the tallies, as we'll take a look at some of the games to watch coming up in week number 3 of the 2018 USL schedule. And I have my eye on one of these matchups, and I have a feeling it's going to be the same one as you, Matt. I'm going to go ahead and say it first. Indy 11, FC Cincinnati. That should be a terrific game.
It should be a fantastic game between those 2 teams. FC Cincinnati, such a great following up in Cincinnati, and Indy 11, new team to the league. Interesting to see how things play out in that match.
And then the Canadian derby between Toronto and Ottawa at the bottom of your screen, and news and notes from week number 2. Week number 1, the Silver State Cup begins between Reno and Las Vegas. That game is tonight, and you can catch it on YouTube. And then Carlton Pelmar, what a week number 1 he had. 2 goals, 2 assists in that shootout with Reno.
Fantastic week. It was a tremendous game. Look at the score, 4-3, lots of goals, lots of offense. I'm really excited about that Las Vegas game tonight. It's going to be a real barn burner.
And USL fans will be happy with the goal-scoring production, as there were 50% more goals in week number 1 of 2018 than 17, as we're moving right through the halftime show. Second half kickoff right around the corner between Charlotte and Toronto FC 2. Don't go anywhere.
Don't forget, you can become a elite soccer player with the Scoring Academy powered by Charlotte Independence. Soccer players ages 9 to 18 focus on individual techniques and skills to perform at the highest level. You can register online at www.clovercarolina.com or give them a call at 803-552-0037 for more information.
Moments away from the second half here at the Sportsplex at Matthews between Charlotte and Toronto FC 2. Tyler Terrens along with Matt Stubbington, glad to have you with us as we are rolling through the halftime show, as Laurent Guyot, I'm sure, is having a few choice words with his club who are down 2-0 at the moment. And the Eastern Conference standings brought to you by Wells Fargo. And these standings, we're entering week 1. They are not a live update. And, you know, Matt, it's tough to be able to get anything from week 1. But what we can get is that some teams from last year are continuing very, very strong. And then there are other teams who didn't have great ends to 2017 and are still struggling through week 1.
It is, and winning is a habit. Losing can be a habit as well. And those teams that are used to winning, they continue on those ways. Louisville City was a good performance last week with a 2-0 win against Nashville. And they just continue their good ways of playing the game, and it was fantastic to see at Slugger Field last week.
Charlotte, of course, with their 4-1 win against Ottawa. Toronto FC 2 dropping all 3 points at New York Red Bulls 2, a game in which they led 1-0, missed a penalty kick, and have only one breakaway to try and get their insurance goal. And a look at Charlotte's upcoming matches from here on out. They start the season with a 3-game homestand, and, you know, we had talked about this during the middle of the week, Matt. You know, it's not crazy to think that they could be getting 9 points from the first 3 games of the season, but then they have some tough games ahead at Nashville, who had more than 18,000 fans at their home opener tonight, and then against North Carolina FC in D11, and then at Charleston. It's going to be a rough April and early May for Charlotte.
It certainly is. That's why you have to make sure that you take care of your home field advantage. You hear that in every sport. And certainly you want to get as many points as you can at the Matthews Complex here in Charlotte, and they're doing a good job of going about getting the 6 points from this first 2 games, see if they can continue in the second half.
Well, they're certainly taking care of business against Toronto FC 2, and a look at how Laurent Guyot's schedule is going to play out in the coming weeks. Little Canadian derby with Ottawa, both teams still looking for their first win, and then a Pittsburgh Riverhounds team that's now led by Bob Lilly, and of course against North Carolina FC. And then a game at Richmond in a bolstered Lee Cowlishaw side, who were trying to make some improvements from a year ago, and after making 13 straight postseason appearances, missed out in 2017 on the playoffs, as we are almost set for the second half here at the Sportsplex at Matthews. For Charlotte, really, I'm sure the message from Mike Jeffries is more of the same. What could the message have possibly been from Laurent Guyot during halftime?
He's got to look for some more energy from TFC2. They were a little lackluster in the first 45 minutes. Not consistent enough going forwards, and they need to take a page out of the Independence book and try and play good defense all over the pitch. And there have been times in that first half, particularly on the 2 goals, where TFC2 just got flat-footed and were not first to the ball. They were reacting second all the time to the Independence, and somehow, some way, TFC2 have to find the way to be first to the ball, win those 50-50 challenges, which you hear coaches talk about all the time.
Well, Javier Santos is ready, and we're underway at the second half here at the Sportsplex at Matthews. Charlotte with a 2-0 lead, thanks to goals from Jorge Herrera in the 18th minute and Caleb Calvert in the 42nd minute off a beautiful feed from Alex Martinez. And that is where we stand heading into the second 45 minutes here. About 20 minutes outside of downtown Charlotte. For the Independents, their fast start, as they led at halftime against Ottawa. They do the same against Toronto.
Just watching the early start of the game, Samuel Vines on this near sideline, very aggressive up the pitch, as we expect from the Independents. And then in conjunction with Jordan and Smith coming back defensively, working really well and communicating with those players, was the youngster, making sure that they knew where he wanted them to be. And he was tracking the run very nicely as well, cutting down the angles that TFC2 were trying to exploit.
Well, if there was one thing about the Charlotte team last year that was clear to everybody, it was that there was a great balance of youngsters as well as wily veterans. I mean, you had Callum Ross, who was a rookie now with OKC Energy FC, under the tutelage of June Marquez Davidson, who was fantastic. And now you have Joel Johnson, Bilal Duckett on the back line, helping out Sam Vines. And the same up top as well, as Charlotte whipping in this corner, which is brought to you by Chick-fil-A and handled by Patterson Sewell. Then up top, it's the likes of Jorge Herrera, you know, north of 36 years of age, helping out Caleb Calvert, who's 21. And Jorge Herrera was just getting a taste of professional soccer when Caleb Calvert was born. But it's great to see the mixture that Mike Jeffries is able to bring to the Sportsplex to Matthews. So many different players with so many different backgrounds, and young man Sam Vines, just 18 years of age. enjoying the start to his professional career. And a bit of a footwear malfunction for Caleb Calvert. Getting a helping hand from Caleb Patterson-Sewell.
Normally it's the outfield player that's helping the goalkeeper tie his laces up so he doesn't have to take the gloves off. But unusual to see the goalkeeper helping out. Spencer plays well with his back to goal. Needs to find a way to do it a little bit further up the pitch.
Well, he's been trying to occupy Bilal Duckett. Might have better luck going after Donnie Smith, who's not as experienced in the center back position. Outside back by trade, it's Donnie Smith. Great read in the middle of the park from Ekra. Could spark a counterattack the other way. Jorge Herrera leading the charge. Alex Martinez. Greg Jordan. Nice little 1-2. Can Joel Johnson get there? The answer is no, but a good idea from Charlotte.
Interesting to hear the coaching staff of TFC2 yelling the instructions defensively, asking the back line to push it wide and then get tight in the box. See the reactions of the Independence players. Smith and Duckett getting wide aggressively, opening things up for the goalkeeper. Dijkstra to be able to pass the ball out to them. Jordan coming back as the tip of the triangle. So Dijkstra can maybe play the ball short to him up the middle of the pitch. It's definitely a different atmosphere, Tyler, to this Independence team when you compare them to TFC2. There's just more aggression off of the ball. Keep their defensive shape when they have to. As soon as that ball is played forwards into their defensive half, then it's close down time. You see Johnson on the right back position there, winning the ball as it's played forwards, trying to find Malik Johnson. And now the Independents have the ball back again. They can start things going forwards again. It wears you out when you're playing against a style like this.
It's a Toronto FC2 team that scored just a little bit more than 25 goals last year. Most teams will find themselves in the high 30s, low 40s. Better teams obviously will increase their goal scoring production, but this is a side that really struggled not only last year, but essentially since their inception. Haven't won more than 6 games in the club's history. And it looked promising last week in Red Bull Arena in Harrison, New Jersey, until it didn't. Spencer missing the penalty, and TFC2 unable to capitalize on a breakaway, and then it was Tenari with a brace and bagging all 3 points for New York Red Bulls 2, who are actually down to Atlanta United 2 at the moment. The game was 1-1 just a few moments ago, and Atlanta looking for a big 3 points at home against a very talented New York Red Bulls 2 side who has made back-to-back Eastern Conference Championship appearances. Of course, winning the USL crown in 2016. Ekra, great work to win the ball back, but a last-ditched effort from Uccello. Fans, have you got what it takes to beat the experts on USLsoccer.com? Show off your knowledge of the league by picking the right results of the USL's matchups each week of the season. Bjornathan. The switch over for Kubel was a good one, but just out of the reach of the German.
You hear the frustration in his voice as well. TFC2, they just have to find a way to move the ball quicker, and playing the 4-4-2 against the 4-2-3-1, numerically you're down a player in the middle area of the pitch. Somehow they've got to find a way to get their outside players moving forwards more aggressively. Certainly from the outside back position. Going up against Johnson on the right and Vines on the left. Again, to be a little bit conservative, because you don't want to give things up in your own area of the field as a defender. Get a little bit nervous.
Crisp movement from Charlotte here at the foot of Alex Martinez. They'll pick out Joel Johnson. Jan Ekra, product of the Lyon Youth Academy, actually was roommates with Real Madrid's Karim Benzema in his earlier days.
You look how deep TFC2 are dropping off defensively all the way into their own half. Not picking up the pressure. And then when they do win the ball back, they don't have anybody to release the pass to. Consequently, the Independents get it back fairly cheaply, and it's more of the same. Jordan Hamilton there, just the body language is so negative.
Cato was trying to make a full turn in a dangerous area. Charlotte could pay the price as they committed a number of players forward, and it's going to be a foul in favor of Toronto FC2 as Joel Johnson was quite literally nipping at the heels of the counter-attacker.
Well, not a bad foul, coming back defensively. Maybe a little bit more patience from Joel Johnson would have been better, because he had done enough to force the issue, and his teammates were there as the cover and the balance on the defensive effort. Again, that's the Independents getting back quickly behind the ball. TFC2 not finding a way to spring forwards with numbers on the offense. Can they work something on this set piece? They haven't had a lot to speak of in this match.
Cello into the box. Daniels working on Ekra. Alec Johnson whipping this one in. Just a rushed pass there from TFC2 that might leave them exposed on the other end. Cato able to let it run through and keeping it in play. Charlotte are off and running once again. Cato in for Calvert. The shot takes a deflection and easily handled by Patterson Sewell.
What a touch from Cato to spring himself free on this near sideline. Starts out of the double team from the Independents. Again, I keep harping on it, but he keep putting players around the ball, forcing the errant passes, forcing the mistakes.
As you can see, a little bit of precipitation here. The Sportsplex at Matthews coming down. Jan Ekra. Cordell Cato. Back for Ekra. Finding Joel Johnson. Great touch forward. Sends it across right behind Herrera. Oh, it would have been such a well-worked goal from Charlotte. Unselfish from Joel Johnson, to say the least. My question to you is, should he have pulled the trigger?
Maybe he should have done, but Herrera was in such a great position to have the attempt on goal. The pass was just behind Mr. Evergreen in the net there. What a fantastic pass out to the right flank. Johnson had held his run, and the angle of his run Pass was out wide beautifully to Joel Johnson, and the touch into the box was so aggressive. And then Herrera got in exactly the right place, but the pass couldn't find him.
Cato ends up getting through the legs of the defender. Rain becoming heavier and heavier here at the Sportsplex at Matthews. And Charlotte just continue to dominate this match. Ekra. Calvert dispossessed in the end by Uccello. Moskovic.
Rain coming down. Should be interested to see how it affects the remainder of this match. Can be the great equalizer. But at the moment, I think TFC2's passes are the one that's equalizing their efforts going forwards at the moment.
Well, I was going to say it can be the great equalizer if the game is at least close to being level from a competitive standpoint, but TFC2 not doing themselves any favors when the terrain was dry and easy to play on. Can't imagine that it's going to improve their passing all that much unless it decreases the ability of Charlotte to be able to keep the ball as Jorge Herrera gets in a foot race.
Mayo there just seemed to get himself into a tangle, Tyler. I thought that ball was going to roll over the byline for a goal kick. He stopped it and puts it out for a throw into the Independents.
Sam Vines, great delivery, and the first time shot kept out by Patterson Sewell. What a save!
The service was fantastic. The shot, the first time volley from Herrera was brilliant. The save, I'm speechless. It was fantastic. Save of the week, probably. Look at the reaction. Look at the stretch. Fantastic from Patterson Sewell.
Patterson Sewell trying to one-up Evan Newton of FC Cincinnati, who won the USL Save of the Week, voted on by the fans as Herrera sends this quarter in. Patterson Sewell called into action once more. And this game would probably be 3 or 4-0 if not for that man at the back.
A wonderful save. Maybe that will spark the players around him to actually start participating in this game instead of watching it go on around them. It's a good squad for TFC2. They just are not, for me, anticipating the game. They're reacting to it.
Ball forward for Johnson. Rather, that's Cordell Cato out wide. Jordan, clever ball over the top. Cato towards the byline. Has his service denied. Johnson with a knee touch. Back on his right. Charlotte are just putting an enormous amount of pressure on TFC2's back line. Ekra. For Sam Vines once more. Loves whipping in service with that nasty left peg of his. Good hustle from Martinez, able to win the ball back. Now here's Cato, and the offside flag is up. It's just wave after wave of attack from Charlotte, and they are heeding our advice of remaining aggressive in our keys to the match.
Part of that is how important Joel Johnson is on the right flank. Cato had the ball. Johnson was inside the 18, comes out, drawing 2 defenders with him, steps further beyond the ball, receives the pass. All 3 players, the one marking Cato and the 2 defenders tracking Johnson, all went to Johnson on the ball. He flicked it onto Cato, and that created a great opportunity for the Independents.
Calvert again, magnificent work of holding up play, drawing that center back out, and then allowing Charlotte to just push numbers forward. play and finding Cato. Clever to let it run through. So much creativity in the attacking third from Charlotte. It's Greg Jordan switching the point of attack for Alex Martinez, but can't cushion the header soft enough for Sam Vines.
Well, last season, Charlotte Independence had the creativity in spades with Enzo Martinez, Ekra, players like that. But I think now that they have Calvert as that target player up top, that gives them that player they needed to hold play up, to then find those creative players further up the pitch. So I think if they can continue in this vein, they're going to just improve continually as the season progresses.
So Ryan Telfer comes on, and who made 24 years of age and made 30 appearances last season, and Jordan Hamilton will come off. And honestly, I can't really remember us calling Hamilton's name all that much, and he's such an integral part of this team trying to go forward, and he was just a ghost tonight.
I think the only time I mentioned him, when his body language was so negative, it stood out like a sore thumb. Telfer was exciting for me against New York Red Bulls. It was his involvement in the play that led up to TFC2's goal last weekend. Beautiful turn in the middle area of the pitch, drove at the back line, was dispossessed. The ball found its way over to his teammate Subal, and it was nicely put into the back of the net.
Calvert was in plenty of space, but let the ball run maybe a bit too far. And TFC2 reclaimed possession as we are 20 minutes into this second half. Jorge Herrera got things started in the 18th minute. Caleb Calvert making it 2 in the 42nd minute. And that's where we stand here at the Sportsplex in Matthews. Tyler Terrens along with Matt Stubbington. Glad to have you with us as we broadcast to you on a rainy night right outside of downtown Charlotte. Independence looking to make it 2 wins in a row, 6 points in a row in games against 2 Canadian opponents. And Toronto FC2 still in search of their form, dropping a Week 1 result to New York Red Bulls 2. Fans, make sure you cast your vote for USL Goal of the Week every Monday evening at uslsoccer.com as the road to the fans' choice USL Goal of the Year continues throughout the season.
Boskovic was looking for a cross there from this near sideline, but there was just no movement in and around the box, no targets for him to aim at. For TFC2 fans, the disappointment continues. There's just no inspiration at the moment. Perhaps if the midfield condense a little bit more in the middle of the park, that allow the outside backs of Boskovic and Cobo to go forwards a little bit more aggressively, and then that will allow those midfield players to get forwards in support of Spencer and now Telfer. Maybe create something inside the attacking third.
Charlotte just beating Toronto FC2 to every 50-50 ball. You mentioned body language before, and that really is a telltale sign sometimes. The body language TFC2 just sort of reads that not all that interested.
It's frustrating from a fan of the game, and probably, certainly fans of TFC2 have got to be frustrated as well because they're still in this match.
They are indeed. Good move in from Daniels. A little bit late there, trying to get the pass over, and it's Joel Johnson who cuts it out. And looking to start the counterattack the other way. Looking more like an attacking central midfielder there than an outside back. I'm sure Mike Jeffries would like to see Joel trot back to his native position.
So he's trying to get over there slowly.
Jordan slips. That's the first sign that we've seen of the terrain becoming an issue because of the rain that's been coming down here at the Sportsplex at Matthews for about the past 10-15 minutes. As Caleb Calvert is down. All three substitutes still at the ready for Mike Jeffries. Lauren Gaillot has taken one in the form of Ryan Telfer.
Just pops up there, and then aggressive play from Romeo into the back of Calvert. So he's still having trouble with that shoe.
Maybe Patterson Sewell did something to that shoe to make it more difficult for him.
It's the knot that he put in there with his goalkeeper gloves
Yeah,
on.
something
That
like that.
makes it
Yeah.
difficult.
Yeah. Calvert in his fourth stint with the Charlotte Independents. He's actually originally committed to go play college soccer at UC Santa Barbara, but elected to sign a homegrown contract with Chivas. It's the youngest signing in club history. And has been back and forth between the Colorado Rapids and the Independents. Slip there from Alex Martinez, falls to the feet of Telfer. And Toronto FC 2 off and running. Looking to maybe cut the deficit in half. There's a foul from behind. It's right outside of the box. And it's Joel Johnson who commits the foul. Ryan Telfer is down. As play becomes a bit sloppy here at the Sportsplex at Matthews.
Yellow card issued against the Independents.
Sure who it was for the Independents. It looked like it might have been Greg Jordan. Went in on the challenge and was slow getting up. And Telfer on the attack. Johnson fouling just outside the box. That was really close to being inside the area. Usually just heads down. More aggressive running there. Much better from TFC2 and Telfer. That was actually further outside the box than I thought it was in the run of play, but Johnson knew that he had to do something to slow Telfer down, who had a real head of steam up.
Free kick, wasted by TFC2.
Haven't had many of those aggressive, well, attacking set pieces, I should say. Got to make them pay in a match like this when you're struggling in the run of play. You need to get that ball on target or get a service in there so that you can challenge the goalkeeper.
Javier Santos getting in the way. Nasty challenge from behind. Santos says play on as Charlotte have the ball. And it looks like it's Calvert who's down again.
He's not having trouble with the shoe this time. It's definitely the lower leg. That was a heavy challenge on this slick surface.
You would half expect Javier Santos to go back and retroactively dish out a yellow card.
He indicated that the ball was won cleanly. See the referee pointing to the ball right there. I haven't seen it in slow motion. I'm not sure how clean that was, Tyler.
Well, I had originally thought that when he pointed to the ball, it was more of a sense that you guys have the ball. But Caleb Calvert, obviously in some pain. Lends leads me to believe that there was some contact. And while we have a moment, TFC2 are missing one of their better players in Liam Fraser, who is actually on international duty with his first call-up to the Canadian national team. And Fraser, who had a great season in 2017, and that was his assist on the goal to Serbal against New York Red Bulls too. And it's great to see a player like Fraser getting an opportunity to play for his country, and it's just another USL player who's getting international call-ups, and it's just such good publicity for the league. And it's great to see Fraser, who's been one of the more successful players for TFC2, even though the team as a whole hasn't been all that successful. Individually, he's performed well.
He has, and was a real leader in the midfield area of for TFC2 last week. Played really well. Beautiful pass on the assist to Serbal. Talked about Hamilton being missing through the game. We haven't really called Serbal's name at all this match either.
Got muscled off the ball there, as it's Jan Ekra. Still waiting for substitutes to be used by Mike Jeffries. Although it might be a good opportunity for some of these guys to get a full 90 minutes in. And a foul going the other way. Fans, remember that USL's official Twitter feed keeps you up to date with news, live game updates, and highlights from around the league 24/7. Follow @USL on Twitter. Maybe give Matt Stubbington a follow as well. What's your Twitter handle, @BikeBoy?
No, it's not @BikeBoy. I use it so infrequently, I couldn't even tell you what it is.
Well, the Twitter sphere is glad to have you. Johnson into the mixer. Poorly handled. It'll fall for Alex Martinez. Herrera couldn't quite get his touch right, and it's really coming down here in Matthews. Good touch from Sam Vines, but the pass not his best.
Going to the bench again is the coaching staff for TFC2. Daniels comes out, Waiha comes in.
So youngster Waiha will get an opportunity to inject some more youth and perhaps energy into this TFC2 team, which has been, for lack of a better word, lackluster.
They have to find some energy from somewhere. Maybe Waiha can bring that. Maybe there'll be some sort of a tactical change as well. Bring some more players into the middle of the park for TFC2 so they can utilize those players going forwards more. Open up the flanks for their outside backs to get forwards. Nice intercept there from Vines. Been impressed with the youngster tonight.
Waiha, the most recent substitution for Gaio. He's 21 years of age, originally from Accra, Ghana. Good ball in, handled by Bilal Duckett. And as we wind down here at the Sportsplex at Matthews, Charlotte becoming a bit more defensive. TFC2 starting to open things up a bit more. But 2-0, always a dangerous lead. And now Kai Fosser coming on here and replacing Alex Martinez. And just a quick correction, that was actually Icam Andrews who came on. few moments ago. So Kai Fosser, who's played for some massive clubs in his day, originally from Switzerland, actually played for FC Basel. He's made a number of UEFA Champions League appearances, and now Moape coming on, replacing Cordell Cato. So a double switch for Mike Jeffries.
Entering the game, number 8, Kai Marcos. And number 11, Utaya Moape.
Moape getting his first touch. Joel Johnson getting forward once again. Good delivery. Handled by Boskovic. Johnson draws the double team. Good move on the outside. Calls for a penalty from TFC2, not given by Javier Santos. Canadian side knocking on the door here. Committing a lot of numbers forward though. Charlotte might try to make good on a counter-attack. It's a foot race to the ball and ends up being won by TFC2.
Good cover there from Romeo. Ball found its way out over to Waiha, I think it was. It was aggressive into the box. Good shout for a penalty, but the referee was right there. Mr. Santos indicating that the ball was won fairly by the Independents.
More than 10 minutes standing in between the Charlotte Independents and a perfect 2-0 start to the 2018 season. Toronto FC2 10 minutes away from dropping 2 consecutive games. It'll be 2 games that were on the road, as there's another tough challenge in the middle of the field as Greg Jordan goes down. And Waiha offering an apology to Jordan, as it was a bit of a harsh tackle.
Jordan be thankful that it was going down to the lower body, not the upper body. It was a similar area of the pitch last week that he had that cut happen to his mouth that hadn't required the stitches and going to the bench early in last week's action.
Ekra. Dynamic movement off the ball from Charlotte. As TFC2 scrambling to find their defensive shape. Moape taken down from behind. No call from Javier Santos, but Charlotte end up keeping the ball in the end. Big challenge on the near side. Malik Johnson. USL's official Facebook page brings you the best from across the league with news, highlights, and interactive features like the USL on Facebook to get the league's best content delivered right to you. Waiha. And his shot skipping wide. The Charlotte Independence team, Matt, certainly has some new faces and had some old faces depart, namely June Marquez Davidson, Callum Ross, Enzo Martinez, just to name a few. Obviously, as there's turnover from season to season, teams are going to look different. Is there anything different that looks good in a more positive way from the 2017 team that we've seen in the first 2 weeks?
I think that Calvert up top is that perfect player that was needed by the Independents, that target, that release valve for the Independents to play that ball forwards to feet. With Enzo Martinez up top, the ball had to be played into space or out wide so he could create off of the dribble. With Calvert there, you can use the ball centrally and then he can release the ball out into those wide areas for the outside backs, Johnson and Vines, to get forwards. The supporting players of Cato, Wape in this situation, Herrera can also play underneath Calvert, and I think that we've seen that been done very successfully tonight by the Independents. That was a clumsy challenge there by Herrera. Surprised that TFC2 went quickly with it. Thought it might set up a service into the box.
Andrews whips in a decent ball. Good defending in the end. Looked like it was Sam Vines who got an important touch, preventing the shot from getting through. And it's going to be a free kick going the other way. It might have been a handball or a foul. Either way, set piece opportunity coming up for TFC2 in a dangerous area as we approach the dying moments of this one. Jorge Herrera and Caleb Calvert are goal scorers for Charlotte. TFC2 maybe looking to get one in the latter stages here that would really put the pressure on Charlotte. And it could make the last 6 minutes or so much more interesting. Delivery towards the back post, the header. Handled by Dijkstra.
Movement was better off of the set piece. The service was better off of the set piece. The ending component, the header, there were two players in that part of the pitch. I think it was Spencer in the end that tried to turn the ball on frame. Not enough power on it to test the goalkeeper. A better effort from TFC2. Important for them to see if they can find a way to finish this game on a high note. Even if they don't score a goal, they need to have something positive from this match.
Ekra. Big ball forward. Joel Johnson. Flag stays down. Johnson sends it across. It almost fell for Calvert. 21-year-old was surprised that the ball even crept all the way through. Ball out wide for Johnson was sensational.
Calvert was amazed that ball found its way into his area of the pitch. Ended up with a swing and the miss, but now the centre back missed that ball, clearing it.
Attention fans, if you'd like to meet the players, take a picture or get an autograph,
Ekra with a poor touch. Allows TFC2 to remain in dangerous territory. Now wide for Andrews. Looking to take on Joel Johnson. Early delivery. And the header. Never troubling Dijkstra. And it looks like it's going to be Ricardo Perez coming in. Perez, 22 from Juarez, Mexico, in his first season with Charlotte. Came on as a sub in week 1 against Ottawa. And we'll get a few minutes to run around here and perhaps provide that third and final dagger for Charlotte.
Ekra played really well. Came in the early part of last game in the first half when Jordan went out injured. Really had a good performance for the remainder of the match and has done a good job tonight in the 86 minutes that he's been on the pitch. Such an important part of what the Independents do is those two holding players, Ekra and Jordan in this case, if they play well, keep things tight and solid in front of the back two of Smith and Duckett, that allows those outside backs to go forwards with the confidence that Vines and Johnson have.
Waiha. TFC2 just probing, trying to find a way through. First time shot, blocked in front by Donnie Smith. He's done that a number of times tonight. And TFC2 really exposed at the back. Herrera was trying to get it over for Moape.
Donnie Smith had an important challenge on the header there as that ball came in from Andrews on the cross. And followed up by that blocking challenge that you described, Tyler.
Charlotte allowing TFC2 to just hang around. Danger is there from Romeo, as Calvert was looming in the area.
I think Wire has provided a little bit of a spark since he came off the bench. Number 37 for TFC2. More active in the center of the park.
And we're officially hearing that we'll have 4 minutes of stoppage time, tacked on to the allotted 90. Charlotte just trying to see this one out and move to a perfect 2-0 to start the 2018 season. Didn't win their first game until about 3 or 4 weeks into the 2017 season, so a far cry from the start of the last campaign. But they've had some help with the quality of opponent, as well as the fact that their opening 3 matches will be at home.
I'm thinking back to last year, it's somewhat similar as far as the Coach Jeffries was dealing with some injuries last year as he is this year, particularly on the back line. Didn't really have his back four set until probably 4 or 5 games into the year. I think he's a little bit more wily now and knows what his players can do, and was able to solidify the back four a lot more quickly, which he'll be thankful for.
Bjornathan, decent ball in. Donnie Smith to the rescue once more. And we mentioned it at the top of the broadcast, Matt, but for a guy who doesn't play all that much center back, he has looked impressive. And Mike Jeffries saying that his ideal back line is probably going to be something along the lines of Joel Johnson on the right, Bilal Duckett, and then it's a question mark at that center back position. Then Donnie Smith is probably going to earn that #1 left back position in front of Sam Vines.
Well, it's tough for the youngster. He's played really well, but you know, Kalungi on the bench tonight, and players of that experience.
Dykstra coming off his line with strong fists. Long range effort. Always off target. And another man to throw into that mix of the back line is Lee Jung-soo, the former South Korean international. Actually had 2 goals in the 2010 World Cup. But they're trying to get him match fit. So it'll be a dogfight, to say the least, between Bilal Duckett, Henry Kalungi, and Lee Jung-soo for playing time. But always a good problem to have.
It's a great problem to have for Coach Jeffries, and also it might not be a problem. It allows him to manage minutes and keep the players more fresh for longer into the season, and hopefully for the Independence fans have a really good postseason run. A long way to go before we get there, but
well, I feel like we were saying that this time last year, and then all of a sudden it sneaks up on you and it's August.
Absolutely. It goes by so quickly. I can't believe we're right around the corner from April. It's great. It means that USL action's back with us, but
oh yeah.
Certainly what I've seen from the Independents, though, if they can continue this form and improve on it, I don't see any reason why they wouldn't be in the top 8 come the close of the season.
Moape finding the Swiss man Kai Fosser. Now it's Herrera out wide for Moape. Charlotte looking to make it 3. Moape putting on the moves, sends it across, and Patterson Sewell handles it comfortably. Just a few more seconds left in this one. And it'll probably be the last kick of the game, this free kick. And that's going to do it. The Charlotte Independents off to a perfect start in 2018. They pick up their second win of the 2018 USL schedule. Mike Jeffries and company with a 2-0 win over Toronto FC2. They dominated from start to finish. Caleb Calvert with a goal and an assist. Jorge Herrera got things started in minute number 18. And Charlotte are off and running, to say the least, in 2018. And we'll take a look at the save of the match. And it was that one there, the shot coming in from Jorge Herrera, and Caleb Patterson Sewell providing this edition of the Wells Fargo save of the game. Well, Calvert was magnificent tonight. Goal and an assist. Alex Martinez assisted on the Calvert goal. Jorge Herrera with his second goal of the season. And the Charlotte Independents will be taking on Atlanta United 2 in their next match a week from tonight. Part of this 3-game homestand to open up 2018. But for my broadcast partner, Matt Stubbington, I'm Tyler Terrens, where the final score from the Sportsplex at Matthews, 2-0 in favor of the Independents as they make it 6 straight points to start the season off. It was a rainy night here right outside of downtown Charlotte, but that did not bother the Independents as the Jacks came away with another convincing victory over another Canadian side. Final score for the Sportsplex at Matthews, Charlotte 2, Toronto FC 2-0.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League may not be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the express written consent of the United Soccer League.